What is up, everybody? Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Marvel Rivals. Today we're doing yet another spectating video. This time we're going to be spectating the #1 Jeff. This guy in Season 0 had like 70 some hours on Jeff, so he's played this character a lot, more than all of his other characters combined, and let's just go into the replay. I hate playing against this character. I don't really enjoy playing this character at all, but let's see what this guy can pull off in a Grandmaster lobby with one of the most annoying characters in the game. So, getting right into it, I have seen a lot of people play Jeff recently where they just kind of flank the enemy backline and just hang out back there, and he does something similar here, tries to get a little bit of damage on this Star-Lord. And you will also see him do this thing where he drops a bubble at his feet right as he goes under I guess water, under the ground, and he's able to get a ton of healing right as he does that animation. So he used his left shift to go underground when he was a little bit lower, drops a bubble so he eats it as he comes down. Good way to get a little bit of extra healing in the same animation. Unfortunately, he flanks a little bit too far back here, and his team is just taken out, being minus a healer. And so he and Namor are just trapped in the enemy backline, and they're just going to get this first point pretty easily with not a whole lot of resistance. They're effectively down a DPS and a healer, so not a great start. If you've never played Jeff before, you can also go up walls with his left shift or when you're underwater, under the ground, so keep that in mind. But he's just poking the enemy backline, and you'll see why this is a little bit more valuable, I think, a little bit later in the replay. I have watched like half of this just to make sure it wasn't like super goofy, but I think this character is just pretty goofy in general. So something else to note is that his left click, so his left click is the heal, the right click is what you see him lobbing at the enemy players. His left click is this beam, and it actually doesn't have a range, and it pierces targets. So you can do a ton of healing, especially in tight corridors where all your teammates are stacked up. Sees the Punisher in the backline here and is able to take him out because he does not have any healers. This character does do a pretty good amount of damage as well. So if you're able to isolate a squishier target that doesn't have a healer, you can usually like 6-tap them, something like that, and your fire rate is pretty good. So definitely mess around with that, but I think it's hard to do that and also help your team at the same time. His team is able to get the enemy off the point as Namor is able to take out the Star-Lord. And they're just going to try and hold here. Unfortunately, his Doctor Strange not able to get a whole lot with that ultimate, but they still do take out the Punisher, so forcing out the Luna ult as the enemy tries to get a little bit of ground. Sees that come out, and he knows everyone's going to be stacking up for it. So I think he actually spits out everybody here. I'm not sure what I guess the reasoning for that would be, but it does do some good disruption, even if you don't, kill the entire team. I've seen a lot of people that play Jeff and they just kind of hold their ult until they can get 5 people, but you'll see him in this replay use it on, maybe 2 or 3 people, take away a couple key targets for as long as possible, even just not even spit them off the cliff, just spit them into an area where they're not being useful. And, as you've noticed in this game probably by now, if you fight a 4v6 or a 5v6 or something like that, it's just going to be significantly harder. And that's kind of the situation he tries to put his team in. Once again, going on this right-hand side, Star-Lord ult is popped. He's in a good spot, not going to get focused by that. His Luna ults to make sure that they out-heal the Star-Lord ult, so he's not going to be able to get a whole lot of value off of that. Contests him for high ground here. As you can see, he is doing a pretty good amount of damage, forces the Star-Lord to back off. His Namor gets a pick on the Punisher, and they force the Cloak and Dagger ults from both sides. Luna and Star-Lord do fall even with those ults running, and he's just sitting in the back poking the enemy, doing some pretty good damage. Doctor Strange is blocking the front. He ends up getting the kill from the back, and Cloak and Dagger backs up right into him, is able to do a little bit more damage to her and help his team finish her off. I believe you can have like 15 of these bubbles or something like that out too. It's something crazy. It's either 6 or 15. I don't remember if I'm thinking about penny mines or what. So these bubbles are just all over the place. If you see these and you're on a Jeff's team, if you've never played with the Jeff before, just soak these. They give you a healing amp, and they also give you some healing directly, so use those to your advantage. People will often just walk by those Jeff bubbles and not do anything. So sees the Luna ult come out here again, has his ult, knows that everyone's going to be grouped up for that. eats 4 members of the enemy team, and just taking his sweet time, spits out his allies, spits out his enemies, not even going for like a full jump off the cliff team wipe, but he does take 4 of them out of the fight, and his team is able to capitalize on it. His Bucky ults, and they're able to polish off the 2 people that are left on the point. He's able to take out the Strange, and then the other 3 fall shortly after. So ults like that, definitely using Jeff's ult to counter other ults. That's what seems to be his vibe. Ults where you know people are going to be grouped up in a specific area, and a lot of people do get kind of that sticky feet sort of vibe where they don't want to leave the Luna ult, even if they're full HP. So definitely abusing that a little bit. And this is why this guy's the best Jeff. He knows Jeff. I hate playing against Jeff too. Like this, he's super annoying. I don't like his ult, but might have to try him after watching this, honestly, because he does seem like he adds a little bit more value. And you can just go like raw healing Jeff. If you don't want to play on the flanks or do something similar to this guy, you can always just do a raw healing Jeff and just pump into your front line, since your left click does heal, it does pierce. So if you have a couple tanks, you can just really keep them alive easily. He gets taken out here. Thor ult and Groot ult are both popped on the enemy team, but his Strange is actually able to return 2 kills in spite of it. Judge Jury Executioner comes out, tries to take him out, but Namor does a good job of that. Ragdolls the Punisher over there, and Thor should follow, staggering himself pretty good with 7 seconds on him, as his whole team is already back up. As you can see, standing way back here, getting that infinite range on his left click, making sure to keep this Strange nice and healthy. Unfortunately, not able to save the Namor there. Getting right back into it, staying on these flanks, making sure that he can turn around a couple members of the enemy team, if possible. Knows he does have ult as well. Punisher with shotgun is up here. Doesn't want to take that 1v1. Punisher with shotgun should win that pretty easily, but still being annoying, staying on the sidelines, poking people from the side. Sees the Punisher turret up here and immediately gets on him, forces him to drop his turret in this small area. Definitely saves his team from a lot of damage. And again, the Luna ult comes out. Everyone's going to be grouped up for it. Only able to get the Punisher here, though. Going over to the health pack to make sure that he stays alive. And just kind of spits the Punisher over into this situation where he can either 1v1 him, or he's not really helping his team. His team doesn't have a whole lot of damage in this situation. Punisher's stuck behind him. Star-Lord is also a little bit behind him. All he has to do is top off his team here. They do have Luna ult and Bucky ult coming up, and they're able to wipe the rest of the team just because they don't really have a whole lot of things to heal. So in that situation, not getting a hero ult, if he did get a hero ult, that would have been obviously a good thing, but taking out one of their main sources of damage, especially when they're, you know, running something like that, can still change the tide of a fight, even if you're just taking someone out of the fight completely. So going into the second round here, it's only a score of 1-0, so we only have to get that second point to secure the victory. Playing a little bit less on the sides right now. His Bucky is actually been just going crazy this game and gets a nice pick on the Namor. Without that extra damage, they're able to clean up the Doctor Strange and push forward. Lots of healable damage going on, so he switches to a little bit more DPS focus. Helps his team take out the enemy Groot, and they are just going to push the enemy back into this little crevice over here. Hallway. Hallway is a better word. Crevice was a little bit weird to say, but moving on. And this is a situation where Jeff can really shine, just blasting his healing down the hallway. I'm going to watch this back. There's going to be so many innuendos. It's going to be crazy, but we're posting it anyway. Screw it. And they almost get this first checkpoint, but the enemy fully respawns. They are still pretty staggered. The Namor, the Squirrel Girl, and the Strange are all very staggered. Groot follows suit. 5 seconds on Strange, 10 seconds on Groot. Going to be able to get this point pretty easily, since the enemy is not really fighting any 6-on-6 at this stage of the game. It's able to get a lot of damage into Jeff there, and Namor can finish him off. Climbs the wall here to make sure Namor cannot line of sight the rest of his team. Gets right back in on him. And they're going to be content just making space for this payload. Again, playing on height, playing on the wings. getting in situations to do damage be really annoying as Jeff. And I think that hallway actually could have been a nice place to ult there, since everyone was kind of funneling down that. But opts to play the hallway, even when he's standing right on top of people. There we go. There's the Luna ult. He knows people are going to be standing on it. Gets a 4-man ult. And I think right here, I would probably just jump off the cliff, just guarantee the kill on all 4 of those members. But he does spit them the wrong way. I don't really know why he did that. I think I would have just tried to jump off the cliff, take them with me. But he ends up actually putting the enemy team behind his own team. So that's not going to be very good. But still able to clean up the enemy Jeff here. But now they are fighting to get back to where they want to be. Groot ult comes out, and they're just taken out. So a little bit of a throw, but they do have plenty of time. They have 4 minutes on the clock, and they don't even need to get all the way to that second checkpoint. So they should be okay. Switching to a more playing behind the team angle. Trying to push them forward so he can get access to this high ground a little bit. And as soon as it's available, he then goes up here. Tries to take out the Namor turret, but Doctor Strange contests him. Namor gets taken pretty low by his damage. Or by someone else's damage. But I'm going to choose to believe it's the crazy Jeff damage. Using his bubble and diving underwater. As per usual, Namor is taking the 1v1 with him without a healer. So not super smart. Jeff definitely can 1v1 a couple DPS in this game. And doing damage on this character builds your ult charge faster too. So if you're only using healing and there's not a whole lot to heal, you're definitely missing out on a lot of value. But they just get a couple picks and get the victory with a nice little 2-1 score. And again, in a Grandmaster lobby playing Jeff. So nothing too crazy there, just a couple little tips. But as you're using your left shift, pop a bubble at your feet just so you can eat that right as you go underground. Making sure to get on the flanks, be annoying to the enemy team, and wait for those ults that force people to group up before you're using your ult, just so you can guarantee a little bit more value, maybe a little bit more success in that regard. He does go 21, 2, and 25, does a really, really nice amount of damage, does 12,000. I mean, he keeps up with a couple of his DPS, and then he also does a good amount of healing. So be sure to try this character out, but don't try him out in any of my games. I hate playing against this. Leave a comment what you guys want to see next, like the video if you liked it, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.